Hey folks, Fernando doing our video for the March Survivalist, and this is a little bit of a special video. This is a video I've already done for my Spanish channel. I have a channel, it's called Supervivencia Moderna, which is a survival channel pretty much similar to this one, but in Spanish, and it's recently blown up. I have over 9,000 new subscribers in the last 28 days in that channel. And the reason why it's blowing up is because the crisis in Argentina is getting pretty serious after the election in which Cristina Kirchner clearly has a huge lead. Her candidate has like a 20-point lead, and it's very likely to win in the following elections in the next couple of weeks. People are very worried, and rightfully so, because if Cristina Kirchner goes back in power and takes control again of the country, Argentina will indeed become Venezuela. There's no way around that. This is like Hugo Chavez coming back from his grave and winning. It's that terrible. It's that unbelievable, but it's happening. Cristina Kirchner is just about to take control. Her and her lackeys are just about to go back into government. I cannot believe I'm even saying it, but it's happening. And people are scared, rightfully so. So what I did in this video, in the Spanish video, is provide 5 tips, 5 points to go through so as to get ready for this. And since I know you guys like the reality-based preparedness, not so much the make-believe stuff or the suppositions, but what you really need, what's going on right now. Well, these 5 points, I decided to do the same video but in English. Number 1 is, of course, something you're familiar with. It's self-defense. I'm telling guys over there to arm themselves, get training. You know, without the training, the gun's not going to be doing anything for you. I emphasize a lot on that. Get yourself, and for you guys watching this, it's pretty much the same thing. If you have a gun and you don't have, it doesn't matter if you're a good hunter, if you're a good target shooter, self-defense is something else. You need a specific class for that. You need to sign up with a good defensive shooting instructor so as to teach you what to do. Even from the legal standpoint, there's pretty big differences. If you don't know what you're doing, even if you survive, you can get yourself into some very steep legal problems, maybe end up in jail for it. So that's important. My advice is always go with a Glock pistol. It's the gun that is widely used by most armed forces around the world, especially elite tactical units and everything from Navy SEAL to, the Secret Service. Everyone is using a Glock because of the same reason. It's just a fantastic way to go. Now, also, for those of you that are not so much into guns and simply want to have something for self-defense, but it's just not your thing, my advice is always to go with a good solid revolver. And it doesn't have to be this one specifically, which is a little bit of on the pricey side. You can get a good Smith & Wesson revolver, Ruger, if you get a Colt. Even there's some cheap Spanish revolvers that are quite good, Llama and Astra. Those are very good Spanish revolvers, cloned from Smith & Wesson basically on mechanics, but very well made nonetheless. My advice is something like this, a solid .357 Magnum revolver, 4-inch barrel, something that you can use .357 Magnum, but especially if you're not so much into guns, maybe you'll start using the .38 Special, which of course loads in the same gun just the same. Being a little bit of a heavier, sturdier gun, the weight's going to be allowing you to tolerate that recoil a little bit better, especially with lighter .38 loads, and then move up to .357 Magnum once you're comfortable with that, or use 38 plus P, which is also a good option. It's of course limiting in terms of the capacity of the gun. You have 6 shots in there, but the simplicity of the user manual and how it is so much less likely to have user caused malfunctions, those are the big advantages. Of course, if you're going to be doing things right, training properly, get yourself a nice Glock 19, Glock 17, that's the way to go. I was also talking about, especially for those living in the sticks, in the country, you will probably want to have a long gun. In the case of Argentina, the legislation is a little bit more restrictive, and it's a lot more difficult to get that kind of gun. So my advice was looking towards a lever action gun, but specifically a semi-automatic shotgun like a Benelli M1. This is a very solid choice no matter where you are in the world. This is a Benelli M1, 7 rounds plus 1 there in the chamber. This is a very good way to go, and it's semi-automatic. There's really not a lot that you cannot deal with a gun like this, loaded with buckshot or even slugs. You have those sights, give you a little bit more range if that's what you're needing. Fantastic way to go. That would be my advice. Of course, for you guys in the United States, the AR is probably the most simple way to get a good long gun that is accurate, powerful, has good magazine capacity. But the point is this: what am I advising folks over there in Argentina or in other countries in Latin America where things are getting a little bit more complicated? Arm yourself. Above all, know how to use your guns. If you don't have the training, you may think you know, but you don't know. If you haven't had at least one good defensive shooting course, you simply do not know how to use that gun well for self-defense. No matter if your uncle who was in the army taught you this and that, you need that class. It's going to be giving you the basics, especially with a good instructor. Don't go with someone that is not good at what he's doing. A good instructor is key. And then there's a lot more about this. Of course, if you are going to be getting yourself a concealed carry license, and in terms of security about your home defense as well, that comes into play. But for those of you that don't have a gun, that's pretty crucial, especially when things start getting complicated, like in Argentina, where there's definitely going to be a huge spike in crime because the stance from the government is going to be very pro-criminal. It's going to be very light-handed in terms of persecution of crimes because of the experience already had with Cristina and how she managed things back in her day. So that would be number one. Number two is, of course, having a supply of food and water. That's no mystery, no secret for those of you guys that have been around the channel for a while. But, talking about things that have happened, one of the things that people did when the last election showed that Cristina was going to be was very likely to win in the following elections. They had the primaries, right? And with a lead, 20-point lead in the primaries, that pretty much says that it's likely to be either a straight or maybe going through ballotage first, but it's pretty much how it's going to be going down. One of the first things that people did after the election results was everyone ran to buy food. There's this a Facebook group called Preppers Argentina, and everyone started, I'm heading right now to the supermarket and stocking up. So, yeah, especially because of the inflation, as soon as the results of that election became public, the peso devaluated like 25-30%. I don't know how much it was, but prices of food, they escalated enormously. They went up a lot. So having a stockpile of a good supply of food is key. Water as well, especially if there's going to be the possibility of problems with a lack of supply of water. And I suggest at least a week worth of water. That's going to be about a gallon per person. So that's the minimum I'd like to have. And of course, having a good water filter as well. That's pretty much key. Then number three is in terms of money, currency, precious metals, and the likes. How to protect your savings. And this is very important in Argentina right now with the peso losing the value as it is. Now, in the case of Argentina, people there trust the dollar, and it makes a lot of sense because in comparison, the dollar is a much more a solid way to keep your savings from devaluating in a matter of days, right? And these are all Argentine paper money from back in the day, back from the Austral day, then 500 Australes, 10,000 Australes, this lost complete value, and it always the possibility of ending up in the Weimar Republic where you just burn these things because they're worth nothing. Now, these are bills that I bought, from a numismatic shops as to have these. But this is, I was telling guys in the Spanish channel, this is money that I had in my wallet. This is completely worthless now. A dollar is worth about 58, 60 pesos. 5 pesos I think it's no longer being accepted anymore as currency. And this rings a bell for me because this isn't something that I bought in a shop. This is something that I had in my wallet, and it lost complete value. So that's, that gets very real right there. Of course, precious metals, gold, silver, those are the ways in which, from an American point of view, that's how you would be protecting your savings in the event of the US dollar devaluating and losing pretty much most or a lot of its value. And you have Morgans, you have Silver Eagles. Of course, you're not going to be getting those case nice ones, which are more of a numismatic type of thing, MS69 first strike, right? These are beautiful coins, but you're going to be going for eagle tubes, right? Tubes of Silver Eagle coins. The thing is having silver, either having this or having junk silver, pre-65 coins. That's one of the ways in which you have at least something of value that as the paper currency goes down this path or down this path, you're protected. Now, one of the other things, and yes, with numismatic coins, usually for prepper survivalists, usually you're going to be going for junk silver or silver rounds. Numismatics have their value as well. At least for me, they're also entertaining part of that, but yes, you definitely want the metal most of all. And then there's Bitcoin. This is, in case you're not familiar with this is a Ledger Nano S. This is a little bit of the old school. This is a previous generation, which goes to show that I've been into Bitcoin. This isn't just something I started doing today, but this is something I've been into for a while, and it has worked well for me, and I feel very strongly about recommending it to other people. Bitcoin goes up and down a lot, and there's been spikes that have gone up like 20,000 bucks and fell down to 15, 10, now it's like 7, then went up again, then went down. But if you look at the long picture over the years, Bitcoin is amazing in the way in which it went from being something that was used to buy a pizza for 20 Bitcoins. Today a Bitcoin is about 8,000 bucks. All right, so if you had bought 5, 10, 15, 20 Bitcoins back in the day. Yeah, and the thing is with Bitcoin is it goes up and down a lot. Today it's right after it peaked in December 2018. So now it's gone down and it's stabilizing. And the only way it's going to be going up now is up. It's not going to be going up. If you look at it historically, it's not going to be going up all of a sudden. It's going to be slowly creeping up like it did last time. But the thing is, as of right now, it's a very solid, reliable way of having some savings in a format that many consider to be the gold and silver of the future, of the digital age. I have to do a video specifically about Bitcoin because it is not simple, but yeah, it's pretty amazing, especially the way in which you can buy and sell it so fast. You can have Bitcoin in your wallet, right? You can have it like here or in your cell phone, in your computer, in your account where you bought it from, and you can sell it in 10 seconds. You just go online or in your cell phone. I sold Bitcoin in my cell phone many times before. It's not a problem, and it just goes straight into your bank account. That's something you cannot do with this stuff. I love it. I love silver. I love the metal, pretty much kind of creepy, but it's the way it is. I like having this in, no one's going to be taking it away from me, it's silver. It's not going to be, it may go up and down in price, but it's not getting any lighter, and I have it here. It's not in a bank account, it's here in my hand. That is beautiful, that is fantastic, and it has those 10,000 years of history behind it where this has been valuable. So I'm not going to be giving this up, and I'm not going to be changing this for this, but I'm going to be diversifying. That's what I've done. That's what I recommend people doing. The way I use Bitcoin is through Coinbase, which is the largest the largest website where you buy and sell Bitcoin. I'm pretty happy with it. I've been using it for years and I feel very solid about recommending. Recently, I realized that there's an affiliate program for them, and I'll leave the link below. And if you buy $100 of Bitcoin, if you buy $100 of Bitcoin right now through that affiliate link, you get $10 of Bitcoin, 10%. So you get, if you buy 100, you get $110 worth of Bitcoin, and I get a commission of 10 as well. That's pretty cool. That's pretty neat, especially because I do believe in Bitcoin and I think it's a great way for everyone to be happy with it. It's super safe in terms of it is by far the largest and safest way to buy Bitcoin online. Coinbase, that's the company. It's the largest one. It's been that way for a few years now. And they even have a verification code. Even if you get hacked, you verify any transaction with your cell phone, which is pretty cool. I should do a specific video about it, but if you want to get your feet wet on Bitcoin, the link is going to be there below, and I feel super confident about recommending that because it is indeed that good. One more thing about Bitcoin before I move on. Don't put any of it, anything that you're not if you cannot live without. Don't put anything that you cannot afford losing, basically. Okay, it's not like something else. Like if you have $100 for a rainy day, you can trust that it's going to be there. If you have a few coins of silver, now this is digital. It's very solid in the digital world, but still needs electricity. If something terrible happens or it gets stolen, usually what happens with Bitcoin, and this is super long, but what happens with Bitcoin is that people lose the access codes, the passwords. That's the only thing you have to be careful about. There's been people that lost a computer with millions of dollars worth of Bitcoin, and they ended up killing themselves because they couldn't live with the thought of having so much money and simply not being able to reach that. So keep that in mind. Coinbase is definitely a safe, good way to go. And I go back to this, guys. I go back to how terrible this stuff is. One more thing, I was being asked, again, in my Spanish channel, I was being asked about face masks and respirators. The idea of this video is sharing you folks what guys on the other side, guys in Argentina, are worried about and asking about. They were asking me about a gas mask. What's a good one? Well, of course, a respirator like this, surplus ones, S10 from the British Army, it's a good way to go. It uses the NATO 40mm canister, which is maybe the most widely available one. I was explaining that something a little bit nicer is the current US military mask, or this one, which is the GSR, the current British service respirator made by Scott. You have these cassette type of filters. The American one uses something somewhat similar. These go for 24 hours in full use, in nuclear war fallout type of situation. It's not just a little bit of a respirator for sanding your your table, right? This is serious stuff. But these last for quite a bit more than the 40mm canisters over there. It's a solid way to go. But yeah, that's the kind of things I'm being asked about. Then one of the pieces of advice I was giving is in terms of lighting, having flashlights, having these are from ThruNight. These are quite good. I've got a few of these from the company. Well, I forgot this one on, but these are quite nice. I haven't had any problems with these over the years. I have a pile of them, and they're all quite reliable. I'd say they're well built, and it's something that, yeah, I'd say you can trust. The nice thing about these models is that these are rechargeable with a micro USB port. A little bit dated now, given that C is what mostly people are using, but I have plenty of micro USB, and it's nice to recharge it directly on the flashlight. You still have that huge amount of lumens and the option of going with a low light mode, a moonlight mode, but going up to like 1,000 lumens, something like that. So nice bright flashlight. But these are the kind of things that folks are going to be needing if there's going to be problems with the grid, with power. Rechargeable batteries, of course. these are from IKEA. These are quite good, guys. If you have an IKEA nearby, drop by there, get these. As far as I know, these are the same as the Eneloop ones. These are, as it says there, focus. If you could, that would be great. Yeah, not gonna be focusing for me. Okay, these are made in Japan. I think they're the same manufacturer as the Eneloop ones. These are very good. I buy these every time I drop by IKEA. Good batteries. Zebra light. Having a pile of flashlights, it's a good way. But these are things that guys are going to be needing. It's happened before. It's happened to me while I was there. Another thing I was explaining is the use of a good solar panel like this. Of course, having a generator, that's fantastic. But these things, with a good solar panel like this one, this charges a cell phone, a tablet, a laptop like nothing. It just charges it like a wall socket. It's very good. This is 28 watts. I'll look for the link of this thing. If I find it, I'll leave the link below in case you want to check it out in Amazon. But yeah, this one is one that has worked very nicely for me. That was number 4. Number 5, and I was explaining this, get yourself a passport, a second citizenship. If it's in any way a possibility for you, that's something I'm very recommending very strongly. I've been doing this for quite some long time. Those of you guys that have been following my channel and my books and that sort of stuff, well, I get emails from people all over the world, people that are in very shitty, crappy situations. I've gotten emails from people stuck in the Ukrainian border when the Russians were invading, and those guys were leaving and escaping, and emailing me later on that they were living in Kiev and just got a job and got on with their lives. At the same time, thousands of people were getting killed where they left. And it's like that, guys. It's that decision. It's that moment. Now, this happens all over the world throughout history. It's the oldest thing in the planet. It happens all the freaking time. And it still catches people by surprise. If you have any option, any possibility of getting a second citizenship through Italian heritage, Irish, whatever it is you are. I was talking with a friend a while back, a couple years ago actually, and he had the possibility of getting Irish citizenship. He slept on it and it got past his age, because these things change from one country to the other. Maybe it's up to a certain age that you can get citizenship, but past that, you're screwed. You're out of luck. You're not getting it. And that kind of sucks. If you could get it, even if you're not planning on using it ever, don't think about yourself. Think about your children. Think about your grandchildren who you could pass that along, and you have no way as of what's going to be happening in the future. You have no freaking idea. It's impossible. You don't know what's going to be happening 5-10 years from now. Imagining knowing what's going to be happening for your kids, your grandkids, there's no way you know that. And that's a tool that can save someone's life. If you're stuck in Venezuela and everything is going to hell, if you're stuck in Argentina and everything is going to hell, if you have that passport, not only can you leave, but you're not a freaking refugee. If you have the money, if you have a passport that says you're a damn citizen wherever it is you're going, that's a big difference. If you have the money for it, save in accounts, if you have precious metals, if you have Bitcoin, whatever it is you have all those tools, you have those options, and those tools are just as powerful as those. In the real world where crap goes down in a very unfancy way, no one's going to be making a movie about that, guys, but it happens all the time. It happens to millions of people. Not making any of this up, you know it as well as I do. So, take this to heart, give it some thought. It's one of those videos which it gets very real. It's about people in crappy situations and for my friends in Argentina, my family in Argentina that are going to be going again through this crap. And I cannot believe it's going to be happening again. But these are the steps to prepare for that, okay? Check the Coinbase thing. It's not just an affiliate thing for me to make a buck. It's actually something that's quite good, and at least give it a try. I'll do a dedicated video about Bitcoin later on because it's quite interesting. Guys, it's going to be all for now. See you on the next video. Have an awesome day.